Hey, this is Anonymous T. Welcome to Anonymous T Podcast. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we are talking Netflix, you guys. Today we are talking Season 6 of Too Hot to Handle, the first 4 episodes. Spoiler alert, those of you who have not seen the episodes yet or do not mind, or don't want to be spoiled at all, now is the time to click off. But those of you who are watching Too Hot to Handle and are watching this current season, this is going to kind of cover what's taken place over the first 4 episodes. I literally just finished watching, you guys, and we've got to talk about it, right? So I've been bored with the show for several seasons now because I feel as though it was kind of the same, same ridiculousness, right? Where they say, hey, you're going to be on a dating show in Netflix on a Caribbean island, and they named it something goofy, and they did this whole like fake setup only for them to reveal like later in the night, hey, you're really on Too Hot to Handle, and these people could not pretend to be shocked, or anything. They knew exactly what they had signed up for. So that was exhausting. The prize money being super low, so it didn't matter to these people whether they broke the rules or not. They didn't care. And there would be several people in the cast in recent seasons, really since season 2, that have just been boring. There have been standout people in the cast, but the cast overall, these past few seasons in particular, you guys, have just been very boring, have been very exhausting, and it has been difficult to get through a lot of the episodes, or you have to like fast forward to only the contestants that you want to see because everybody there is just taking up space in the cabana, in the villa, right? And so nonetheless, you have so many people there also that aren't even in couples, but if they seem like good people or whatever that are reaching their growth and their potential, basically they're just there to complain whenever somebody breaks the rules, right? And then you always have the couple that spends the most money breaking all the rules, that gets to, gets the private suite, gets to go to the end to potentially win and all of these things. And nonetheless, there is no variation. It's the same storylines every single season, and it got so repetitive. And I'm like, this show needs to be revamped. They need to increase the prize money. They need to do something different because this isn't it, right? And so finally, I think somebody listened to my critiques and listened to my opinions, and they decided to get to work finally. They increased the prize money to $250,000, although I don't think it really matters with this cast down the line. Also, they added a twist, as you can see, with this cone, this black and red cone that's called basically Bad Lana, and I like it. I like it because Bad Lana is like, listen, either we're not going to break any rules right now, and you guys can kiss, you guys can do whatever, or if you, or there might be rules you can break, but there's going to be parameters, right? We're going to discount the rule breaks, right? So it's 50% off for kissing, and 50% off if you do more stuff or whatever. So I like it, and the opportunity to spy on people, and just, I love everything about that concept. I think it's cool. A new feature that they added is also called the banishment room, banishment area. So the first episode, because of Bad Lana, it was Bree and I believe it was Charlie, who were the most problematic in terms of kissing multiple people. Although I kind of had an issue with that because I felt Gianna also kissed multiple people too, and nothing happened to her. So I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what did Bree do worse than Gianna? So I kind of felt a certain way about that. But nonetheless, they had this banishment area where essentially it kind of reminds me of like when you were disciplined in like elementary school or like kindergarten. So when I was in elementary school or kindergarten or whatever, they had something called the thinking chair. And so it was like in the corner of the room, and you had to like sit there and like think about what you did if you did something bad, right? And sometimes it would be like for the rest of the class, sometimes it would be like for 15-20 minutes, like it all depended, right? But this banishment room kind of reminded me of that, in that you have no access to anything, you don't see any windows, you don't see any life. They give you like these prison outfits to wear. And I think one of the tasks they had them counting paper clips. It was like 590 paper clips to count. But there was just nothing to do, right? Other than to look at each other and try to keep each other busy or whatever. But there was like nothing that there was an incentive other than the times Lana came onto the screen to say, hey, do you want to spend money to spy on the person that you were coupled up with, and all of the things, right? So there was that, right? So then we get into the next episode, you guys, where they bring back some fan faves from previous seasons. So they bring back Louis, and here's the thing, you guys. I don't know what happened, but I think Louis looks better now than he did on his original season. And I was feeling a certain type of way because I'm like, this is an F-boy. Don't get caught up. You already know what this is about. But he was looking good. I couldn't even lie to you, right? We also had Flavia who came back, and that storyline was a mess because she ended up choosing this guy, Jordan, for a date who was like your typical California surfer dude. However, he's like very sensitive and very emotional. So Flavia didn't tell him right off the bat that they didn't have a spark. He still was thinking that there was a chance that they were going to share a bed together or whatever, and that was not the case. And so then she moved on to Joao and really was feeling him. But it just got so messy because she just like sneaks into the bed with him, doesn't say anything. Half the cast is laughing at Jordan, you guys, like children. And I felt bad for him. He ended up leaving the room and taking a moment to himself. And he never got over Flavia, even though she basically told him, hey, this is never going to be anything more than friendship. But then there was this challenge where you have an energy orgasm. And instead of Jordan paying attention to his partner Gianna, he is like obsessed with what is going on with Flavia and Joao. And I was like, this guy's not going to make it. This retreat is going to break him. And sure enough, he ended up leaving the show because he couldn't handle it. And here's the thing. I am happy when people on reality TV realize, you know what? This is not what I'm cut out for. This is not what I'm about. I can't handle this. Let me get out. The problem is, a lot of the people who should be leaving end up staying till the end or end up overstaying their welcome as close to the end that bring absolutely nothing to the show. But I'm glad for the people that recognize, you know what? I'm not going to be able to put up with this. I know what I like. I know what I deserve. I know there's no other connections out here. So therefore, I'm not going to torture myself any further, and I'm going to get the heck out of Dodge. I respect that. Kudos. See you later, Jordan, right? So there was that, right? Then the big storyline we had with Charlie, because he had kissed 3 girls. He had, he's from the UK. However, he had kissed, Lucy, Kylisha, and also Catherine. And so nonetheless, that caused, some issues because I think Lucy is really his number one, but ultimately, he basically was moving mad, right? So he goes to banishment after the first day, comes back after 24 hours, and is basically on this mission to try to win Lucy back. And goes as far as to enlisting Bree, because they're like BFFs now, to play the saxophone, to serenade Lucy to try to get her back, right? And so then they kiss, and then they share a bed or whatever, right? And so then, from there as well, Louis comes into the picture. Louis, likes all the girls, but ends up linking up with Catherine. And to be honest with you, I feel like their connection is mainly just a physical connection. It's just sexual tension. There's nothing of substance between them. They're just highly attracted to each other and want to smash, right? There's nothing of substance. There's no meaningful conversations that they have. There's nothing intellectual. They don't care about, who they are, what they're about, what they like to do, or anything. Their career goals, none of that. None of those conversations are taking place. It's like, oh my gosh, you're so hot. I want to kiss you. I want to touch you, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, grow up. But nonetheless, I felt like Catherine, And I don't know what it was with her seeing Louis that like she felt like she had to like kind of perform and try to be like the next Christine, and it was like very weird behavior. Like they even had a gold banana when they got sent to the private suite for wasting all this, doing all these rule breaks and stuff. But it was just weird. And I noticed Louis even said in his intro that him and Christine were friends and that the long distance didn't work out. But I thought they had a messy breakup. So I'm going to circle back on that tea because I don't remember things being as amicable as he's saying. And I'm thinking he might have just said that to just keep things, cool, keep the peace or whatever, and not get dragged by fans. But I don't remember things being so amicable. So we're going to circle back on that and look into that a little bit later. But nonetheless, like I said, Louis looks better this season in comparison. He seemed like he initially was coming onto the show to be a better example, him and Flavia, but they both quickly gave into temptation, you guys, and were ending up racking up the dollars. In particular, Louis was racking up the dollars and even got sent to banishment himself as well. So nonetheless, which now brings me to Bree. I love Bree. Bree reminds me of Trina from Love Island USA season 3. So she is like this petite firecracker, you guys, but she's gorgeous. And she says what's on her mind. She doesn't do the fakery or whatever. But similar to what Trina went through on Love Island, I feel like production is putting Bree through the ringer, and I don't like it. And these are the times when I say Black women don't go on reality TV, right? Because I'll explain what happened, right? So she was attracted to this guy, Chris, as well as Damari, right? And I think with Chris, it was more so like a sexual attraction in terms of like his charisma, his approach and everything else. And during the Bad Lana period where you could do whatever you want, she initially resisted the kiss from Chris. She initially rejected him. And then when she like sat up on the table, then he initiated a kiss again, and then she gave into the temptation. And so, and then later on, she still, couldn't stop thinking about Damari. And so then they go on the beach and end up, having a makeout sesh as well. But it was just very weird, like how Bree got punished, but nonetheless, other people were kissing multiple people as well. It wasn't just her and Charlie, and I just felt she got the short end of the stick. I just felt like it was just very random. I'm like this is your star, this is your female star of the show. Like, what are you doing, sending her to banishment? So I was completely floored because I was like, am I about to turn off the show now? Because you're really going to get rid of the only Black girl this season? Make it make sense. But nonetheless, it was just a temporary banishment. But again, they had incentives for her and Charlie to watch to see if the new people that were coming in, if they were going to go on dates with the person that they were, coupled up with, they were going to, entice them to see what type of flirting was taking place in their absence and if they were truly moving on and all of the things. So that was a nice little twist, right? So after 24 hours, Bree and Charlie come back to the villa, right? And everybody is shook, right? And Damari is all of a sudden on the fence on whether or not he wants to continue things with Bree, and he's so upset that she kissed, another guy and all these things, and wants to hear her explanation before he decides whether or not to take her back. And I'm like, okay, dude, like seriously. Nonetheless, if you had more women there that you were attracted to and interested in, you would have pulled the same stunt as Charlie. So please miss me with the fake outrage, right? And so nonetheless, Bree and Damari, they end up talking, they make up, they give this intimate hug, and I was like, oh, I see this energy. But I kind of didn't like how the guys talked about all the women, and then when they talked about Bree, all they talked about was her behind, you guys. Just completely sexualizing her and just reducing her to her booty. I had an issue with that because I'm like, what about her personality? What about her looks? What about what she brings to the table and the conversations and all that? And then I felt a way too because we have, and for whatever reason, Mari reminds me so much of Nigel. Like, it's not even funny. But nonetheless, didn't mention that he was a rapper or aspiring rapper one time in all of the time that he'd spent with Bree, but tells, a brand new person almost immediately his whole life story. And I kind of felt a way about that because I'm like, is Bree really not your type? Like, I don't know. Because it was Bree that really, initiated basically saying, I like you, I'm attracted to you, you're my type. Damari really wasn't the one initiating. So that's when my red flags went up because I was like, I'm wondering if Bree is even his type, right? And if he is just using her until his type comes in, which ultimately is what ended up happening. So they bring in a Latina, who's, got the chest, got the booty, all these things, right? Very voluptuous and all of that. And so what was messy about it was they chose, Damari and Catherine to go on these dates, right? And so these people had like an hour to try to tempt them. And then they gave them like an extra 30 minutes. Meanwhile, Louis and Bree are stuck in the banishment, area. And essentially, they have a decision to make on whether or not they want to bring back Louis and Bree to the villa. Right? And so immediately Catherine said yes to bringing back Louis, but then Damari said that he needed a little more time. He needed a few extra minutes. And I'm like, what the heck? Like if you care about this girl, why does there need to be a decision? And then also they did a rule break because he couldn't resist how sexy this Valentina girl was and had to kiss her, had to taste her lips. And I'm like, come on, dude, seriously? Like it was just so annoying how giddy and how extra he was acting in front of Valentina. I'm like, dude, get a grip. Act like a mature person. Act like you've seen a woman before. But again, these men do not know how to act when, certain temptations are in front of them, right? And they don't appreciate the people that they have and the connections that they have. So I was kind of disgusted. At that point in time, I was kind of off Damari. And then, in the 11th hour, they bring back Bree from banishment. Damari's not back yet from his date. He comes back holding hands with his date, immediately goes to the guys, brags about the date, brags about them breaking a rule, and completely ignores Bree. So I thought Bree and Gianna, they were walking over. I thought she was going to walk over and cuss out Damari, which he deserved for how he was behaving. But nonetheless, she ended up just going to the dressing room because I just think she just couldn't stomach how awkward it was and the tension and everything else and just needed to get away. And so the episode ends with, finally Damari remembering that he was sharing a bed with Bree and building a connection with Bree and, was begging her to break rules, but she's trying not to get banished again or sent home, so she's trying to be good. And nonetheless, he finds her in the dressing room and he's trying to have a conversation, but what pissed me off was and it pissed off Bree too, he would not look her in the eyes, you guys. He was scared to look her in the eyes because she was just giving him this death stare, which he deserved because he had been disrespectful. And she was like, listen, I don't care what you have to say. You're not about to disrespect me and humiliate me and da-da-da-da-da. And so from there, Damari, he's nervous. He's like, I've never seen her this angry before. And he's like, I don't know how I'm going to tell her about this kiss and blah, 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 blah. And just right before he tells her, we get the intermission like, hey, you got to come back next week for the next set of episodes. And I'm like, this was really lame. But nonetheless, they kind of spoiled what's going to happen in future episodes, right? Because there's drama with Bree and this Latina where essentially she says that Damari told her that it was, a frivolous, spending. And she was like, well, the kiss was worth enough for him to leave you. And I was like, oh, girl. Oh, no. And I think it was Kylisha or somebody that was like, ooh, let me get the popcorn. And I would have slapped her. Because, again, it's not your fight. It's not your business. And I just don't think these girls there really like Bree because the way that they're obsessed with, seeing her get hurt and seeing her get played is, weirdo behavior. And I wasn't about it. I didn't like that at all. So, nonetheless, we see that Bree is going to end up going out on a date as well with somebody massaging her. We also see it looks like Catherine and Louis are going to do a couple swap or whatever, because it looks like in future episodes, Catherine's going to go back to Charlie, who she's wanted from the start, and they're going to end up hooking up or whatever, be a couple. And then it looks like Louis and Gianna are going to be a thing. There's going to be new arrivals that come in as well. And then it looks like even with all this mess, at some point, Bree and Damari are going to end up back together by the time that they get the little wristbands that give them permission to kiss. like it's just it's so silly to me. But nonetheless, that was most of it, and it sounds like there's going to be more rule breaks that are going to cost a lot more money. So I don't know if people are going to go all the way, or how far these rule breaks are going to go in these future episodes, you guys. But nonetheless, I am happy with these first 4 episodes. I felt it was action-packed. It was a lot of drama. It was a lot of chaos. It kept you on your toes. There were a lot of twists. There were a lot of turns. And, you know, and I was here for it. What I'm not here for, though, is they still have to remedy what they're going to do with all these extra people that are there that have no connections. Like Chris, like Kylisha, like all these people that are just atmosphere. That are not in couples, that are just there for the ride, that are just there to give commentary during the companion meetings with Lana. Like it's just, it's dead, right? So I feel like they still need to tweak that and try to find connections for everyone. I think that's my other critique. It just seems like they only like to send in these bombshells to, you know, break up who the 2 popular couples are, right? Because it's usually just like 1 or 2 couples that really are the focal point for the season. And then everybody else is kind of just in chill mode, right? But I feel like they need to do a better effort. If all these people are single or all these people are into each other, you know, they got to make something else happen. Right? They got to make something else happen, and instead of just coasting to the end and being quote unquote good. But are you being good because of genuine reasons, or because there's nobody there that you are romantically interested in? So I feel like they need to rectify that. Number 1. Number 2, I feel as though, again, like I said, why I wanted to elaborate on Black women not doing reality TV, because I don't like how Bree is being treated. I had already mentioned that Gianna also kissed multiple men just like Bree did, but Bree is the one that got punished and she didn't, because they were trying to argue that it was more of a sexual nature, which no, she was trying to resist it first. So I didn't like that. I also didn't like the fact that there was extra time that she had to waste in the banishment during Damari's date, because he needed more time to make a decision. And I just felt like it was just production messing with her to try to get her as riled up and pissed off as possible. And just, again, bringing in now, you know, exactly Damari's type so that it could break up him and Bree, knowing daggone well that she really isn't supposed to be breaking any rules, because she almost got eliminated night 1, but ended up in the banishment area. So I just feel like they keep playing in her face. I don't like the commentary from the girls who are pretending to be nice to her, but are basically giggling at her being hurt and humiliated and played by Damari. Not here for that type of two-faced type of behavior. Like, it's just disgusting, you guys. Like, it's truly disgusting how some of these people are behaving. And it's like, you wouldn't like it if it happened to you, which is why it's ironic that we're going to see Lucy crying again in a future episode, because Charlie's going to show exactly who he is once more and mess with Catherine. But nonetheless, outside of that, outside of the ridiculous treatment Bree is getting, I feel overall the season is 10 times better, 100 times better than previous seasons. They finally decided to revamp this show. They finally decided to increase the prize money, having the twist with the bad Lana. I think these were positive changes. But if you could just make the makeouts free, a freebie too, that would be great, because I think it's stupid. But nonetheless, there is that. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.